Hey guys, we're here at the drugstore to check out what's new in skincare. This Differin acne clearing body wash with 2% salicylic acid, I've been trying this out. It's actually really good. I've been using it off and on as a body wash. Now, salicylic acid body washes are helpful if you have breakouts, like on the chest, back, but the salicylic acid body washes are also good if you get tinea versicolor. That's that skin condition that a lot of people deal with, especially in sweaty areas, and it can lead to discolored patches. The salicylic acid can help control that. Now, the reason I've been liking this is it's got a nice gentle lather. It also has glycolic acid in it, which can help with gentle exfoliation as well. Now, these ingredients are also helpful if you have hyperpigmentation. Now, one question I got fairly recently was like, can we be using these acne body washes as a face wash, like specifically salicylic acid body washes? The salicylic acid in the body wash is the same percentage in most acne facial cleansers, 2%. So could you use this on your face? I would say it's not cut and dry. I think some body washes may end up being too drying for the face, but that's not to say that all of them would be. So it's something that you might give a try, but if you find that it's too drying, go to a dedicated facial product. But I have tried this a few times on my face, and I've thought it was just fine. And it's actually pretty moisturizing too. This one I really like. $15.99 here at Walgreens, but I'm sure you could get a better price at like Walmart. The Differin Daily Brightening Exfoliator, it has kojic acid in it, which helps with hyperpigmentation. It does have menthol, which a lot of consumers really like in skincare products because it gives that little tingle and it makes them think that it's doing something. But if you're allergic to fragrance, you can react with that. If you have rosacea, it can make your face red. However, a benefit of menthol is that if you have acne that's itchy, the menthol can kind of help soothe that itch by distracting those little itch signals. Walgreens Refining Retinol Serum. The CeraVe Resurfacing Retinol Serum is one of my favorites because it's got not only a good retinol in it, but it also has licorice root compounds and niacinamide, both of which are going to be helpful for post-acne redness and post-acne hyperpigmentation. The Walgreens version is $14.99. Whereas the CeraVe one, $22.99. Now they've got the Walgreens version of CeraVe's Acne Foaming Cream Cleanser. This is really, I haven't tried the Walgreens one, but the CeraVe one is really nice. This is a great option for those of you who have tried benzoyl peroxide and you don't get along well with it because it can be super drying. This or the PanOxyl creamy wash, they're pretty similar. I actually have a video reviewing this and I compare it to PanOxyl, so if you want more details on that, check that video out. But the reason I like these products is because the 4% benzoyl peroxide is an effective percentage strength and you can derive benefit from that short contact time. So it's a great option for the body as well as the face. Now, with benzoyl peroxide, one way to get around the dryness and irritation is to take advantage of it in some sort of short contact form, whether it be a wash like this or a mask, quote unquote, meaning you just put it on, you leave it on for, 7 minutes, and then you wash it off. In order to further reduce the dryness and irritation from benzoyl peroxide in your acne treatment regimen, you also want to make sure that when you rinse it off or remove it, that you're also moisturizing. Now, one thing I really like about these cream cleansers is that they rinse off the skin surface and they don't typically end up bleaching your fabrics, which can be an issue with benzoyl peroxide. If you're new here and you've never heard of benzoyl peroxide, it is an ingredient that is great for acne. It targets the acne-causing bacterium, Cutibacterium acnes, that breaks down your oil and generates a bunch of inflammatory mediators. And it's also anti-inflammatory, but it's very drying for a lot of people. The other thing I like to do with these personally, because I don't deal with breakouts, fortunately, anymore, but the other thing I like to do with this, and y'all have heard this before, but I use this as an underarm wash. Well, I am pointing to this, but I use a benzoyl peroxide wash under my arms, lather it there, leave it on the skin for a few minutes, and then rinse it off. It helps reduce the burden of bacteria under the arms that break down sweat and lead to body odor. So it's a really nice way to deodorize. You see, a lot of deodorants are nothing more than a stick of perfume. There's no good mechanism there to actually address body odor. Whereas benzoyl peroxide, it's going to actually reduce the bacteria that break down your sweat and cause body odor. Antiperspirants, they reduce the output of sweat, so there's less for the bacteria to break down. A lot of people don't tolerate antiperspirants. They find them irritating. And so this is another way to help with body odor. Looks like Walgreens has a retinol corrective deep wrinkle serum. This is new. I guess it's an alternative to the Rock. No fragrance. Oh yeah, this one does have fragrance. Fragrance is just a common allergen and irritant. I do like the Rock line, the Derm Correction line. This particular product reminds me a lot of the Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair Regenerating Cream, just in terms of the consistency. It has hyaluronic acid and it also has silicone, so the hyaluronic acid is going to help plump up the stratum corneum and smooth out fine lines. And then the dimethicone helps give this a nice lightweight feel but reduces water loss. It also has shea butter. Now the retinol is going to help improve the look of sun damage. This also has ascorbic acid, which may get into your skin and combat oxidative stress as well as improve collagen synthesis. But y'all know the issues with ascorbic acid. I will say Rock is a good brand. So if you're leaning into looking at retinols, I always suggest if you're going to try a retinol to go with a brand that's been around for a while, has good R&D, like Neutrogena or L'Oreal retinols or Rock. Retinol is a cosmetic ingredient, so there's a lot of heterogeneity out there in terms of what you actually end up getting. That's why I suggest going with well-established brands. Alternatively, though, Adapalene is a retinoid and it's FDA approved for the treatment of acne. So this is a lot more reliable in a sense in that you're actually getting the retinoid. Now, in contrast to prescription tretinoin, there's not as much research on Adapalene for anti-aging, but there is a little bit. We don't have the good long-term studies like we do with tretinoin, but we do have some showing improvement in age spots. So this is always a good option. And you can also use this on the backs of the hands as a side note to improve the visible signs of sun damage, skin aging. Here's PanOxyl. I was talking about this earlier. See, the 4% I really like. The 10% is fine too, but you may find this more drying and more irritating. And of course they have a Walgreens version of the 10% for a little less, $2 less than the PanOxyl, but I don't know how much this PanOxyl is at like Walmart. It might end up being like, I don't know, $13, so there you go. Now, PanOxyl came out with an oil control moisturizer SPF 30. I have not tried this. It's a mineral sunscreen. It has both zinc and titanium dioxide. I imagine it's going to leave a cast that, if you're a paler skin type, might be tolerable, but it's probably going to be more noticeable, obviously, on a deeper skin tone. Now, this also has caffeine in it, which is helpful. It's an antioxidant. Caffeine can help reduce redness, and it has caffeic acid in it, which is an antioxidant. This product also has green tea extract, which is an antioxidant that can be helpful for not only combating oxidative stress in the skin, but also can be helpful for people with oily, acne-prone skin. I'm really bummed that La Roche-Posay has added fragrance to the Effaclar serum here because this used to not have fragrance and was really good. Fragrance doesn't negate the benefits of the ingredients in this, but y'all, the fragrance in these serums is so strong and it lingers so much. That's really unfortunate. You know, the nice thing about La Roche-Posay's Effaclar, it's got salicylic acid, but it also has LHA. LHA is like a modified form of salicylic acid that is a little bit more precise in how it exfoliates. This has some good ingredients, though, for oily, acne-prone skin. In addition to the sal acid, it has niacinamide and glycolic acid. Caprylyl salicylic acid, that's the ingredient, goes by the name LHA. And this has phytic acid, which is a very gentle alpha hydroxy acid that actually may help combat the effects of metals on the skin, which happen through exposure to pollutants and can aggravate acne. I really wish they had not scented this. This is one of my favorite drugstore sunscreens, by the way, the La Roche-Posay Anthelos Melton Sunscreen Milk, no cast. I really like the SPF 100 because studies do show that the higher SPF tends to be better in terms of reducing sunburn just because of the nature of how people apply sunscreen. I also like this formula a lot because it's very fast absorbing, non-greasy. It's easy to tolerate if you're going to be doing a lot of sweating, and there's no fragrance. But this I don't think I've seen before, the water lotion sunscreen, SPF 60 cooling. Looks like another option here for those of you who are participating in sport. Looks like it's probably going to be very lightweight, just a guess. I know I get a lot of comments like, what's a good sunscreen for humid climates? I would be willing to bet that this would be a good one. I'm just guessing. I've never actually tried it though. I'm guessing because alcohol denaturing in it, which people get nervous about, but alcohol denaturant is very good for creating a fast absorbing, non-greasy sunscreen. EOS Lip Balm Collection. Beach in a Balm 24-hour moisture lip balm. I'm going to wager to guess that this has a bunch of flavorants and scent in it, which it does. As a reminder, those are common reasons for irritation from lip balms, and it's usually delayed. So what ends up happening is people put the product on, it feels nice, and then the ingredients later on lead to irritation. So they put more product on, further worsening the irritation. It just becomes a vicious cycle. That's kind of, you know, people say lip balms are addictive. They're not, but that's sort of the cycle that you can run into. That's why I emphasize just try and stick to like plain petrolatum. Or, you know, a lot of people like Aquaphor healing ointment. As a side note, the American Academy of Dermatology, they like to name a contact allergen of the year each year, because it's not to say that the ingredient is like bad or should be banned or anything of that sort, but it's merely to talk about an ingredient that seems to be relevant, prevalent in terms of contact dermatitis, or some interesting presentations of it. I you know, a lot goes into what gets voted for the allergen of the year, but this year it was lanolin. And lanolin is a relatively common allergen in lip care products, and Aquaphor has lanolin in it as opposed to plain petrolatum. So, you know, if you have chapped lips, one of the safest things to try is just plain petrolatum. Like 100% white petrolatum is a great option for the lips, and it's not going to be here. Instead, it's just going to be Vaseline. Speaking of Aquaphor, here I am in the foot care section. Aquaphor's Healing Ointment Advanced Therapy. They're advertising this for cracked heel. See, petrolatum, great ingredient, but this also has lanolin. So if you're allergic, you would want to avoid this. Now, they advertise this for feet, put it in the foot care section, but it's the same product as a regular healing ointment. I do kind of like this packaging though. Look, it's like a pump. This is new. I've not seen this. Advanced Repair Moisturizing Leg and Foot Foam from Differin. These spray foam moisturizers are actually pretty nice. I've not tried this one. This has urea, which is really great for dry skin. It's part of the natural moisturizing factors in your skin, hygroscopic. I kind of want to try this, except I don't need another moisturizer. Lactic acid is really good for hydration. This is basically the Eucerin Advanced Repair, which I actually currently have. That's why I don't need this. I currently have it in action and I love it, but I'd be interested to try it out in this foam form. Just a side note, this Black Girl Kid sunscreen, so good. $9.99 here at Walgreens. So I recently purchased this, and I'm actually really liking it a lot. I have the SPF 51 right here. This is great. It's kind of pricey here at Walgreens at $13.99. It has it's a chemical sunscreen. There's no cast. It's nice and moisturizing. I don't get any sting from it. Oh, interesting. This one has fragrance, but the one I bought and I'm using doesn't. Or if it does, I haven't noticed it. TBD, I will be reviewing this for you guys at some point. Check it out. The Hyped Up Tree Hut has foaming gel washes. I tried something from them. Was it this popular scrub, sugar scrub? Maybe, years and years ago, like long before I was on YouTube. And I just found that it made a mess everywhere. The sugar scrubs, I mean, y'all know, I don't really advocate using scrubs, especially if you have eczema. If you don't and you enjoy them, live your life. But if you have eczema, be very careful because they can end up just further disrupting your already impaired skin barrier and leading to more dryness and irritation. They don't really, you know, these are kind of one of those, this is like the same issue you can run into with chapstick, is that they mechanically remove some of the stratum corneum or whatever, but they can end up causing more water loss because of that. And then you end up kind of wanting to go back and repeat to soften and smooth the skin surface. Really, you're better off consistently moisturizing rather than leaning into these mechanical exfoliants for the body. Now, some people who have keratosis pilaris, they do find that they get a lot of benefit out of using a little gentle scrub to mechanically exfoliate the rough bumps. But even then, my preference is to lean into an actual keratolytic ingredient to more precisely and specifically target that dry, built up, stuck together clump in the follicle. That's why I love urea so much. And I also love, you know, lactic acid body moisturizers for that reason. It's just a more practical, efficient approach. But, you know, like I said, a lot of people love these. I don't. I find they make a mess. And they're difficult is it just me? I find they're difficult to use without getting a bunch of water in the shower. Like, yeah. Personal gripe. But the foaming gel wash, I wonder how those are. It says brighten and tone. What does it have in it that would brighten and tone? I guess they're alluding to the fact that this has orange peel oil in it, which may provide some minuscule amounts of vitamin C and alpha hydroxy acid, but also is fragrance and can be irritating. But anyway, I mean, fragrance is going to be in these scented body washes. That's kind of a given. Does it have lactic or glycolic acid in the formula? Oh yeah, it does have lactic acid. Okay, so that can be helpful for exfoliating, shedding skin cells, which they also have a hydrating oil complex with rosehip oil. Rosehip oil has like no retinol in it, so don't fall for that hype of it being an alternative to retinol. It also has argan oil and scent. I like rose scent. I also like watermelon scent. Looks like the watermelon one has niacinamide in it, but it also has that orange peel oil, which you know, if you're allergic to fragrance, well, if you're allergic to fragrance, you're not going to be coming over here and getting scented body washes, so whatever. But don't assume that it's going to give you a reliable amount of like bioavailable vitamin C. Looks like Soap and Glory has Heal Genius Hydrating Foot Cream. What does this have in it that would be good for dry feet? As a side note, one way to really help cut down on dry feet, and a lot of people are like, heck no, I'm not doing that, is to not walk around barefoot. That leads to callus buildup and dries out the thick stratum corneum of your heels. I know a lot of people love walking barefoot. I only like going barefoot on the beach, on the sand. Otherwise, Now this has urea in it, which is going to help with callus. It also has menthol, which is going to tingle, may be helpful for itch. Of course, if you have a pre-existing fragrance allergy, it's one of those things where you're not going to be coming and looking at Soap and Glory. Like, Soap and Glory is pretty much off limits for you. I wonder what their calming bath milk is like. I wonder how the Body Souffle stacks up to those old school Victoria's Secret body moisturizers. I've talked about this before, but back in the day, man, for me personally, probably because it just made me moisturize more consistently, were those Victoria's Secret body creams. The Love Spell one I loved. Those were good. I don't, like I said in other videos, I don't know if they still make them or if they've changed up the formula, but I'm telling you, when I was in high school, college years, I was using those consistently and they were really helpful for me. And I think, you know, that's why I understand how people who really like fragrance and skincare are like, yeah, it motivates me to stay consistent. When I was using those, I remember it brought me out of a slump where I was being too lazy to moisturize regularly, and it did get me back on track for moisturizing because they were so nice. And then I switched over to CeraVe. We also have a lot more options, like sometimes overwhelming options. Speaking of options and body washes, in a recent empties video, I shared with you guys, I finished the Nivea, one of these pampering body washes. I got mine on iHerb. Looks like it's kind of similar. It was fine. It reminded me a lot of Dove. Now, I would be tempted to try the peach, but why do they have to put jasmine in there? I just want peach. Sometimes, like, why do they're so fixed on putting certain fragrances together, like strawberry and mint. Why not just strawberry or just mint? Same thing with foods. Like, have you noticed plain caramel has completely been erased. It has to be salted caramel. Was the salt always there and now it's just being noted? I mean, yeah, unless you're like going into the grocery store and buying those caramels and that are those little squares that have that tenacious plastic wrap around them, you know what I'm talking about. It's really hard, like restaurants, like they can't just serve you a caramel drizzle. It has to be a salted caramel. Have you noticed that? Like it has to be. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I hope you had fun with me shopping around the drugstore for new skincare. If you liked this video, on the Insulate is a recent video where I went through Costco. A lot of good finds there. Costco has some deals, so check that one out next. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.